The Librarian's Labyrinth. Barnaby, a diligent villager with spectacles perched perpetually on his large nose, possessed a singular passion: books. Not just any books, but those ancient, dust-laden tomes that whispered forgotten tales of the overworld. He served his village as a librarian with quiet pride, but his heart yearned for knowledge beyond the worn pages of common trades. He'd often heard hushed tales from traveling merchants about a whispering archive, a place of impossible lore that appeared only to those who truly sought its wisdom. Barnaby, ever the skeptic, dismissed these as fanciful stories until one cloud-dappled morning. While tracing the faint outline of a forgotten path near the village outskirts, searching for a rumored abandoned stronghold, Barnaby stumbled upon it. It wasn't a stronghold at all, but a colossal structure of polished dark oak and smooth stone, impossibly grander than any village library he had ever seen. Its vast ornate door, etched with symbols he couldn't decipher, stood ajar, a sliver of ethereal light spilling from within. A strange, resonant hum vibrated in the air, pulling him forward. Curiosity, a far more potent force than caution, urged him inside. The moment Barnaby's last blocky foot crossed the threshold, the massive door groaned shut behind him, sealing with a final echoing thud. He stood in a towering atrium, light filtering from an unseen source above, illuminating endless rows of bookshelves that stretched into the gloom. The air was thick with the scent of old paper, ink, and something else. Something ancient and electric. He took a hesitant step, then another, his eyes wide with scholarly awe. This was no ordinary library. He tried to retrace his steps, but the door was gone. In its place stood another wall of impenetrable bookshelves. Panic, a sensation unfamiliar to the usually calm librarian, fluttered in his chest. He turned down a long corridor, its wooden floorboards creaking beneath his feet. The shelves here were filled not with ordinary books, but with tomes bound in scales, and glowing moss, in what looked suspiciously like solidified netherrack. He reached for one, but as his fingers brushed its spine, the entire corridor seemed to shudder. With a soft groan of grinding stone and shifting wood, the very walls rearranged themselves. The corridor twisted, extending, contracting, and then, with a final groan, it was different. An entire section of the library had rotated, replacing the path he'd chosen with another, entirely new one. Barnaby's initial awe curdled into a growing dread. This wasn't just a library. It was a labyrinth, a living, shifting puzzle. He was trapped. He shuffled forward, his villager hums now tinged with anxiety. He had to find a way out, or at least understand this impossible place. His scholarly instincts, however, soon overpowered his fear. If this library held secrets, he would uncover them. The labyrinth was relentless. One moment, he walked through a section of polished obsidian and glowing redstone lamps, the air thick with the smell of sulfur, as if he had stepped directly into the nether. Distant guttural growls echoed from unseen chambers, sending shivers down his spine. The next, the corridor shifted, and he found himself in a chamber of shimmering prismarine, the gentle sound of distant water lapping against unseen shores, the air cool and damp. He hurried through, always searching for a pattern, a logic to the madness. In one such shift, he found himself in a crumbling chamber of mossy cobblestone, clearly a forgotten dungeon. Here, amidst the skeletal remains of what looked like very old furniture, he found his first unique book. It wasn't on a shelf, but lay half buried in debris, glowing with a faint, warm light. He picked it up, its cover surprisingly smooth, despite its age. Inside, the pages were not paper, but thin sheets of polished copper, etched with intricate diagrams and strange flowing script. The narration spoke of an ancient order of cartographers, masters of the very fabric of reality. They had discovered a powerful artifact, the Atlas of Worlds. a tome capable of mapping and subtly manipulating the very dimensions. It had been an object of immense power, too dangerous for any single hand. This first fragmented entry hinted that the cartographers, fearing its misuse, had sought to hide it. As Barnaby moved deeper, the shifts became more unsettling. Hallways would suddenly end in sheer drops into dark chasms. Rooms would appear, filled with strange, unsettling shadows that flickered at the edge of his vision. He heard the faint, telltale hiss of a distant creeper, the rattling of bones, but the library seemed to keep these dangers at bay, or at least obscured. It was as if the labyrinth itself was a colossal, breathing entity, with its own protective mechanisms. In a chamber that suddenly opened to a sky filled with swirling phantom-like shapes, he found a second book. This one was bound in what felt like solidified, cool air, and radiated a chill that made his spectacles fog. Its pages whispered of the cartographer's desperate efforts to bind the Atlas's power. They had used powerful enchantments, drawing on the raw magic of the Nether itself, to create a sanctuary that would forever protect the Atlas. The library, it implied, was a sanctuary, designed to shift and disorient, ensuring no unworthy hand could ever reach the ancient artifact. It was a living maze, its very purpose to confound and deter. Barnaby, though tired and disoriented, felt a surge of scholarly triumph. He was not just lost, he was unraveling. A profound mystery. His fear lessened, replaced by a focused determination. He navigated crumbling bridges that appeared and disappeared, scaled shifting staircases that led nowhere, but then reformed into new paths. He even noticed a tall, slender Enderman observing him from a distance in a chamber made of endstone, its purple eyes fixed on him. The creature, however, made no move, merely blinked, then vanished, only to reappear moments later, having placed a single block of purple directly in Barnaby's path. A mischievous challenge, perhaps, or a silent test from one creature of knowledge to another. Barnaby simply stepped around it, his focus on the shifting architecture. Finally, in a chamber where the very air shimmered with arcane energy, he found the last book. This one pulsed with a soft purplish glow, its cover seemingly woven from starlight itself. It spoke of the Atlas's true guardian, not a beast of fang and claw, but a creature of pure knowledge, a sentinel of profound wisdom that would oversee the sanctuary. And then, the final revelation. The library's constant flux was not random. It was a rhythmic pulse, a protective mechanism that could only be stilled by a true scholar, one who understood the Atlas's purpose, one who would acknowledge its profound significance not for power, but for wisdom. Such a one, the book declared, would see the true path. As the words faded from the glowing pages, the chamber around Barnaby began to convulse. The shifts grew violent, the very floor beneath him trembling. Bookshelves slammed against walls, distant groans echoed, and the light from above flickered erratically. He looked up, and there, suspended above a central pedestal, was the object of the labyrinth's protection, the Atlas of Worlds. It was magnificent, bound in shimmering, ever-shifting colors, radiating an aura of immense power and ancient knowledge. Hovering beside it, indistinct and shimmering, was a spectral figure. It was translucent, like a wisp of mist, yet its form was unmistakably that of a villager, clad in ancient flowing robes, its arms crossed. This was the guardian, the sentinel, a silent test of his resolve. The air crackled around Barnaby, a silent question hanging heavy in the air. He was a villager, not a warrior. He had no sword, no bow, no potion. Only his mind, and the knowledge he had painstakingly gathered. He understood now. He didn't need to fight. He needed to understand. Trembling but resolute, Barnaby slowly approached the pedestal. The spectral guardian watched, its form flickering. He stretched out his hands, not to grasp the atlas, but to touch it with the reverence of a true scholar. His fingers brushed the shimmering cover, and a profound sense of connection washed over him. He felt the vastness of the atlas's knowledge, the countless maps of worlds known and unknown, the wisdom of the ancient cartographers flowing into his mind. He didn't read it aloud. He simply absorbed it, acknowledged it, let its purpose resonate within his very being. As Barnaby's touch deepened, the violent convulsions of the library ceased. The spectral guardian shimmered once, then slowly, peacefully, faded into nothingness. The light above the atlas became steady, a beacon in the vast chamber, and then a miracle. The walls of the chamber, which had shifted so chaotically before, began to stabilize. A clear, unwavering corridor materialized directly before him, bathed in the gentle light he had seen at the entrance. The way out. Barnaby took one last, long look at the magnificent atlas, still pulsing on its pedestal, then turned and began to walk. The corridor remained steadfast, leading him through once shifting sections that now held their form, guiding him unerringly back. With a soft click, the grand ornate door appeared before him, standing slightly ajar, just as he had found it. He pushed it open and stepped out into the familiar overworld sunshine, blinking at its warmth and constancy. The ancient library behind him now appeared as a monumental but ordinary ruin, its vastness still impressive, but the shimmering, shifting aura was gone. The hum in the air had ceased. It looked like a mere structure, guarding its secrets from the common eye. Barnaby turned, and the great doors silently closed behind him, sealing the labyrinth's magic once more. He adjusted his spectacles, the sun glinting off the glass. He was the same librarian, yet profoundly changed. He hadn't brought out a physical book, but he carried the knowledge of the Atlas of Worlds within him, an innate understanding of the world's deep, interconnected layers. The labyrinth had tested him, but it had also revealed its purpose. He returned to his village, a little quieter, much wiser, forever marked by the boundless shifting halls of the librarian's labyrinth. And from that day forward, Barnaby no longer just read books. He understood the very maps of reality they described.